It's the night of December 26, 2020. Sirens and squad cars race towards Don Carter Lane's bowling alley in Rockford, Illinois. A brutal shooting has just rocked the town of Rockford. 6 people have been shot. 3 are in critical condition while 3 are now dead, and a community is shaken forever. When the police reveal who the suspected gunman is, the community and nation is shocked. The suspected gunman isn't a gang member, a career criminal, or a domestic extremist. He's a soldier in the United States Army, and he's not an inexperienced soldier or someone who's been radicalized by the enemy. His name is Duke Webb, and he's a member of the Green Berets, the US Army's elite special operators. Trained for years under grueling conditions for espionage, counterterrorism, and dealing with some of America's gravest threats. And for reasons that investigators, doctors, and military experts still debate, this special operator turned his training on the very people he was supposed to protect. How does a man trained to withstand almost anything become a danger to himself or the people around him? What pushes them to the brink? The men in this video survived firefights, torture, and missions that should have killed them. But the greatest threat wasn't always the enemy. Sometimes it was the damage accumulating inside their own minds. Today, we're examining 5 cases where America's most elite operators were pushed past the edge of sanity, and the forces that drove them there. Because to understand what happened to these men, you first must understand what war does to the human brain. For decades, military planners believed explosions only injured soldiers when shrapnel or debris physically struck them. If you walked away without a scratch, you were fine. But modern research has revealed something far more disturbing. Even when a blast leaves no visible wound, the pressure wave passes directly through the skull. It compresses and stretches brain tissue in microseconds, tearing microscopic connections that no scan in a field hospital can detect. One blast might cause a headache, but the damage is cumulative. Each exposure leaves scarring at the boundaries where brain tissue meets fluid, in patterns researchers now recognize as unique to blast injury. The result is a brain that slowly loses its ability to regulate sleep, memory, mood, and impulse control. And because the wound is invisible, the symptoms get blamed on everything except the true cause. The soldier looks fine. He is told he has anxiety, depression, or a drinking problem. Nobody looks inside his head. For elite special operators, this danger is magnified beyond anything a conventional soldier experiences. Breaching charges, shoulder-fired weapons, sniper rifles, grenades, and demolition training are part of everyday life. Over a career, an operator can absorb thousands of blast waves. Not in combat, in training. The job itself is the injury. Few cases illustrate this better than Navy SEAL sniper Ryan Larkin. Larkin earned his SEAL Trident in 2008 and served as a combat medic and sniper across 4 combat tours, 2 in Iraq and 2 in Afghanistan. He was decorated, respected, and considered among the best in his platoon. When he returned to America, he became an instructor in urban combat, which put him next to explosions and automatic gunfire all day, every day. The man teaching others to survive was being wounded by his own classroom. The change came after his back-to-back tours. His father, Frank Larkin, a former SEAL himself, watched anxiety appear where there had been none. Then depression, then disorganization, memory failures, and alcohol. Sleep medication barely worked, and as Ryan deteriorated, the labels began to stack up. Substance abuser, treatment failure, operationally unfit. The military saw a discipline problem. Ryan knew it was something else. He wrote in his journal, "I need treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injury." He told his family, "I'm broken inside. Something's wrong inside my head. Nobody's listening." Nobody did. Ryan made one final request. If anything happened to him, he wanted his brain donated to research. On April 23, 2017, at just 29 years old, that donation was made. Researchers found exactly what Ryan said they would find. His brain showed the distinct microscopic scarring of repeated blast exposure, invisible to every scan performed while he was alive. He was right, and his brain tissue is still teaching the medical community what blast waves do to the men who carry them. Most people think the most dangerous part of war is getting shot. For elite commandos, that isn't always true. Sometimes the real battle begins after the fighting ends. Psychologists who study prisoners of war have found that prolonged captivity attacks the mind in ways combat never does. Combat is terror in short bursts. Captivity is terror without end. Isolation strips away identity. Starvation degrades the brain's ability to think. Torture teaches the body that resistance brings only pain, and the mind slowly rewires itself around survival alone. The longer it lasts, the less of the original person remains. Now, imagine enduring that for 9 years. Floyd Jim Thompson was a Green Beret captain sent to Vietnam as an advisor in December of 1963. 4 months later, on March 26, 1964, his observation aircraft was shot down, and he fell into the hands of the Viet Cong. He would spend 3,278 days in captivity, longer than any other American prisoner in the war, longer than any American prisoner in history. The conditions were engineered to destroy him. For one 6-month stretch, Thompson was held in a cage too small to sit upright in. He was starved until fellow Americans who caught glimpses of him compared him to a prisoner from Auschwitz. He was beaten and tortured until he signed a statement saying he had been treated well, which is its own kind of psychological destruction, forcing a man to participate in the lie that erases his suffering. And for reasons that were never explained, his captors kept him isolated from other American prisoners almost until the day of release. Other POWs at least had each other. They had tap codes through walls, shared resistance, shared identity. Thompson had nothing but his own deteriorating mind. He survived, but survival is not the same as recovery. Thompson came home in 1973 to a family that had believed he was dead and rebuilt life without him. The skills that kept him alive in a cage were no use in the living room. Alcohol became his medicine. His marriage collapsed. A stroke pushed him further down. He carried the cage with him until he passed in July of 2002. Thompson is a reminder that not all mental breakdowns explode or fade. Some last quietly, all the way until the end. Here's the cruel part of traumatic brain injury. The symptoms mimic almost everything else. Headaches get treated with painkillers. Memory problems get treated with stimulants. Insomnia gets treated with sleep aids. Each symptom is medicated individually, while the actual wound, physical damage to brain tissue, goes completely unaddressed. And as the damage deepens, it can cross a line that few people see coming. The brain regions that separate real threats from imagined ones begin to fail. Paranoia stops being a feeling and becomes a reality the person lives inside. Sergeant First Class Duke Webb was a Green Beret with the 7th Special Forces Group, with 7 overseas deployments behind him, including multiple tours in Afghanistan. Official records suggest minimal direct combat exposure, but records like that miss the obvious. Special Forces life means constant proximity to breaching charges, heavy weapons, and artillery, in training and on deployment. The blast count climbs whether the enemy ever fires back. And Webb's symptoms followed the textbook progression: restless sleep and disturbing dreams early in his career, then headaches so splitting that he feared he had a brain tumor. Then the cognitive slide: scattered thoughts, severe memory failures, a mind he described as a car misfiring, brain fog he compared to scrambled eggs. Army medical staff prescribed Adderall for the focus problems and medication for the headaches. They treated every symptom. They never diagnosed the injury underneath. Then came the paranoia. Webb became convinced he was being watched, to the point that he instructed his girlfriend to use the codename Matilda whenever they were outside their house. The threat detection system in his brain was firing at a world that wasn't attacking him. His final deployment to Afghanistan in 2020 broke whatever was left holding the line. On December 26, 2020, Webb walked into a bowling alley in Rockford, Illinois, and opened fire on strangers, killing 3 men and wounding 3 others, including 2 teenagers, before being taken into custody. He later claimed he had no idea where he was or what he was doing. He has since been ruled fit to stand trial, and his case continues to move through the courts, raising a question the Army does not want to answer. How does a man with a flawless 12-year record deteriorate this far while under military medical care, and nobody catches it? There's a condition researchers call operator syndrome. It describes what happens to the small number of men who serve in America's most elite units, where the human body is pushed past its design limits for years on end. Constant hypervigilance keeps stress hormones flooding the system long after the mission ends. Sleep deprivation, repeated blast exposure, and relentless deployment cycles compound the damage. Over time, the hormonal system breaks down, impulse control erodes, and the operator loses the ability to switch off the war. We imagine these men as indestructible. The truth is that the very conditioning that makes them elite is also slowly dismantling them. Master Sergeant William Billy Levine II was Delta Force, the Army's most secretive Tier 1 unit. Over 19 years of service, he was a highly decorated operator with multiple tours, many of which will remain classified for decades. He was, by every external measure, the elite of the elite. Internally, he was coming apart. The collapse became public when Levine, in a manic paranoid episode, shot and killed his close friend, Green Beret Master Sergeant Mark Leshikar, in front of Leshikar's young daughter. And here is where the story turns darker. Local law enforcement ruled the shooting self-defense. Leshikar's family disputed it furiously. Leaked documents pointed to Levine's unhinged and aggressive psychological state, and a later memorandum from the 1st Special Forces Command found his account not credible. Yet, the ruling stood. His friend was classified as killed in the line of duty, and Levine walked free. Did Delta Force have a license to kill? That's what people asked. But the more disturbing question is what happens when a man that dangerous is left untreated. Levine's paranoia and volatility deepened. He spiraled into the drug trade as his mental state fractured completely. In December of 2020, his body was found alongside Army veteran Timothy Dumas in the remote woods surrounding Fort Bragg, North Carolina, both riddled with gunshot wounds. Investigators ruled it a double homicide tied to his drug involvement. Investigators and journalists examining the case pointed to traumatic brain injury and what some researchers call operator syndrome: the hypervigilance, the hormone imbalances, the neural degradation. The machine America built was never given away to power down, so it burned until there was nothing left. A single soldier's collapse can be dismissed as personal weakness. A cluster cannot. When multiple men from the same units returning from the same war break in the same way within weeks of each other, the cause is no longer the individual. It's the system. And in the summer of 2002, the system revealed itself at Fort Bragg. Within a 6-week span, 4 soldiers, most of them Special Forces operators, recently returned from intense combat tours in Afghanistan, suffered severe psychological breaks. Sergeants Neves, Wright, Floyd, and Griffin each turned violent inside their own homes. All 4 murdered their wives. Some took their own lives afterward. The others were arrested. Investigators searching for a common thread found a disturbing combination: acute, unscreened PTSD from the opening campaigns of the War on Terror, layered on top of side effects from Lariam, an anti-malaria drug issued to deploying soldiers that was later linked to paranoia, aggression, and psychotic episodes. The men had been sent into combat, chemically altered, psychologically wounded, and then dropped back into their living rooms within days with no screening and no decompression. 4 households paid the price in the same 6 weeks. The 2002 epidemic forced a national spotlight onto the military's invisible casualties, and the Pentagon was forced to overhaul how it handled returning combat units. It led to the first mandatory post-deployment behavioral health screenings and decompression programs. Reforms written, as so many military reforms are, in blood that had already been spilled. Psychological collapse is no longer a secret within the ranks of the US military. PTSD, operator syndrome, and traumatic brain injury have claimed even the most elite operators America has ever produced. Men selected precisely because they were supposed to be unbreakable. The lesson running through all 5 of these stories is the same. The wound was real, it was physical, and in almost every case, somebody saw it coming. Ryan Larkin wrote it in his journal. Duke Webb begged for answers about his headaches. Thompson's captivity was no mystery. Even when wars end and the guns go silent, the damage keeps claiming casualties for years, sometimes decades, after peace is declared. The war doesn't end when the soldier comes home. Sometimes that's exactly when it begins.